Okay, hi YouTube. Today I've got Rod from RJ's Knives here. I'm sure you'll have seen RJ's live show that goes out on a Sunday, and we can put a plug in for that later near the end. But I'm sure if you've watched my channel, then I'm pretty sure you've watched RJ's. RJ's been around a bit longer than me and had a lot of the knife crowd on his show at one time or another. I mean, I haven't been on it myself yet, but as I say to a lot of people, I'm not really a knife person. I have a few knives, and as a result of going in the Slip Joint Sanitarium Discord group, I have a lot more knives than I did when I first went in there. Originally, I was trying to be EDC, but I've ended up doing a lot of knife reviews as well. So anyway, so it's great to have you on the show, RJ.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being here, and yes, I have a funny story about knife acquisition. I was talking to a coworker of mine, and he says, I think something is wrong with me. And I said, what could possibly be wrong with you? And he said, well, I went to this website. He goes, and I saw that, there was like 3 knives on there that I really liked. And he goes, so I bought them. He goes, then later on, I went to a different website, saw 3 more knives I really liked, and I bought them because I think I have a problem. doesn't sound like a problem to me.
No. I mean, it's one of the things in the Discord group that somebody will say, oh, I'm looking at this knife, and Slippy will just come on and just say, oh, just buy it.
Right.
And then the other mantra is, if shall I pick this knife or this other knife? And then Slippy will just say, we'll just get both.
Right.
What's the problem? So
we definitely enable ourselves.
I think so. So
enthusiasm.
Let's start with a pocket check. So what are you carrying today?
Okay. Today I am on call. Currently I don't have any calls, but I thought I'd show you guys like my work EDC, since you have an EDC channel, and so it's more than just a knife. So you guys might find this interesting or not. Watch, I have a G-Shock. This one is keyed in or linked with the atomic clock, and it also has solar charging, so you don't have to ever replace the battery, which I thought would be an awesome watch to carry.
Yeah.
Of course, being EDC, you have to have something to write on and something to write with. This is a Fisher Space Pen. This is the executive model. It used to have a little rubber cap there that you use for touch screens, but it got ripped off a long time ago. But the pen still works just great. Yeah. And of course, the Write in the Rain notebook, because you don't want your notes and your stuff to get completely lost. This is a recent EDC acquisition, but one that I think that you guys, especially if you work with electronics and stuff like that, this is a little Klein pocket screwdriver. And it has a small bit. So here's a small Phillips, here's a small flat, but what you can do with it then is you can pull it apart and then it goes back together. And now you have a longer screwdriver. And again, this has the 2-sided bit on it as well. But what makes it really awesome is when you go back into your small configuration, this collar comes down. So now you can have it pocket clip in your shirt and it doesn't rip out the bottom of your pocket with the screwdriver bit. So really a very cool and handy little thing. It has the rotating cap on top, but if you're using a precision screwdriver,
I really like that. I have the Stanley 4-in-1, which is really cheap, but it's quite cheap plastic. But that looks a lot more useful.
Yeah, it's really cool. This is the Klein tools. I'll get the model for you. It's Klein. If you don't know how to spell Klein. And this is the 32614.
Okay. I'll check that out. I've been doing a few things on pocket screwdrivers. I think I've got a video recorded but not edited yet, and I need to get around to doing. But that looks really cool.
Yep. And then on my keychain tools, I have a little O-light. This one just, screws in, and, this is the one that gets real bright when you screw it all the way in, or it can be dim. You guys have seen that. I unscrew them and then I test them by pushing them. So if they're in my pocket, that they don't do that. I have one of these, I don't know what you call them, little metal toothpick things. It's funny because I went to my daughter's house and she had a charcuterie board out, and I said, "Oh, awesome. I have a tool for that." And pulled that out of my pocket, and everybody looked at me like I was a weirdo, but it works for charcuterie really great.
Do you find this though sometimes, because if you're into knives and EDC, you tend to have more things in your pockets and you get considered a weirdo, but then people often end up borrowing your stuff.
Right, that's exactly right. And then of course my keychain Victorinox of choice, this is the Rambler.
Okay.
Yeah, not the classic. The Rambler is like the classic, but it gives you this extra tool. So you have like a little cap lifter, a little wire bender, a small Phillips on the end of it.
I love that tool. Does it have the scissors as well?
It does. Yeah. So you have the scissors, and that's the nice thing, is that both the scissors and the main blade, they're on the opposite side as the keychain.
Yeah.
So that's what's nice about them. So it gives you the full access to the tools without, so here's your main blade, and then you have the little, if I can find the nail nick, that's always helpful. Then the little, you have the file and the small flathead.
Yeah. I have the Midnight Manager, which has those. Plus, instead of the scale tools, it has a flashlight and a pen.
Right.
I'm a little bit upset at the moment because I've misplaced it. I know it's in the house somewhere, but because it's quite small. I've got a trip to the US next week, so I wanted to make sure it's not in my pocket or my work bag.
Right.
Taken from me, and that would really upset me. So
yes,
I was using it for a sharpening video earlier in the week, but I've just misplaced it somewhere. So I will find it. But yeah, I love my Midnight Manager, which is very similar to that.
Right.
And the tool set is great. The Phillips on that combi tool is the perfect one for kids' toys.
Oh yes,
so
exactly.
I want to use it a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're your small knives. Now you must have and a bigger torch as well.
A bigger flashlight also. Okay. This is my main flashlight. This is the S2R Baton 2 or whatever that O-light has. This is my main EDC flashlight, and as you can see, it's been pocket carried a lot, and I use this thing probably every day. So the one on the keychain is more of a backup light, because with flashlights, you always want to make sure you have enough light to do whatever you're doing. And I like the magnetic base that's on this, so I will hang it up. With the machines that I work on, I have a lot of metal to connect to, and I can use it as a task light for when I'm in dark corners and stuff like that. But as far as knives go, yes, I rotate my knives quite a bit. And lately, and I guess we don't have to skip ahead, but lately I've been carrying the Victorinox Compact a lot. Okay. I've had this knife for a while, but I rotated it back into my EDC, and it's quite handy. And we can go through the tool set on this if you want to, but I think everybody's pretty familiar with the Compact, especially in the UK. But I've had this thing with camp knives, which are very similar to a Victorinox, and so I've been carrying this camp knife lately. And so this is one that is a kissing crane model. So you have an opening layer with a can opener, a screwdriver, cap lifter, a main blade, and an awl. But it has this handy ring or bail on it. So
okay.
So they're kind of cool, but I thought we'd kind of go over those also a little bit later in the questions.
Cool. Okay, that's great. Let me just pop us back to. I'll go through mine very quickly, as as it's more about you, but just interesting because I have a Citizen watch that's solar powered, and
Oh,
I
okay.
got it because I hate the fact that you get a watch that's waterproof, but when you
Mhm.
change the battery, it's never quite the same again. So I
Right.
wanted one that would last a while,
Once you break that seal, yeah.
similar to the G-Shock. And I mean, I work in an office, so I don't need something quite so robust. But I
Right.
like having one I don't need to take off. Um,
Yes.
my sort of keychain, I have the Olight i3e EOS, and then I have a Gerber shard.
Mhm.
And what's useful is that I can take this with me if I fly. So this is
Right.
flight friendly, and
Yeah.
at least I've got a couple of screwdrivers, a cap lifter. Which some people say, why do you need a cap lifter? I think because in the US you have tops
Twist
that are
off.
screw,
Yeah.
don't you?
Yes.
In the UK, ours tend to be crown tops,
Right.
and then it's got a sort of a 2D Phillips, but I quite like that. It's a tiny pry bar. And I'd never have a pry bar by itself, but because it does a number of things, it's useful.
Right.
And then I just have a tritium saw. So if I drop my keys in the dark, or if I'm picking them up, if I'm going out before daylight, I can see where they are.
Right.
I have the Pioneer X ALOX, which I think most people will know it's the one with the scissors.
Right.
I really like this. It's if you're it's a sort of a in-town knife, I would say.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm thinking about getting the Farmer X ALOX because that has the saw as well, which is quite useful. And then because I've been at home and I've been gardening, I've had my Mora knife on just because it's useful for cutting up some things. Unfortunately, as we were saying before this, I can't carry this as normal carry because it's not legal in the UK, which is a shame. I can understand because it's for UK people this looks quite scary. For Americans, it's quite small. But it's a super cheap but super
Right.
sharp. I've hardly had to sharpen it. I mainly just strop it, and I've used it for camping and things like that. But it's good for gardening. If I didn't have this, I've been using the Opinel number 7 that I've got as a gardening knife because I didn't like it for other use. But I've since found out it's really good. It has a really good sharp back spine that's really good to use with a ferro rod for starting fires. So I've moved it into my fire kit now, which is anyway,
Okay.
that's enough about me. Let's let's go on to the next question. So how long have you been creating videos for YouTube then?
I started my channel in January of 2021. And so I've been at it for a little bit. I think my first video probably was either the last week of January or the first week of February of that year. And then I've just gone on from then.
And how many videos have you got under your belt now?
I don't know. I'd have to look.
I should have done my research properly. So apologies.
I guess that should be something that I know, but I just make them. I just put them out.
I don't think. Let me just check if I've got your.
We can just put it under the category of few. There's a few out there.
It's in the hundreds, though, isn't it? I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gotta be. I mean, I've been doing on average, probably 2 to 3 videos a week since then.
Yeah.
Sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on life itself. But I'd say that's probably my average.
That must be 200, 300, 400, maybe 500.
Something like that. And I'd have to go grab my phone, but
and then the live shows. How long have you been doing the live shows for?
Live shows have been doing just a little over a year. We did our I think last week was the 80th show.
Wow.
And except for Easter and New Year's Eve, I think was it New Year's Day? I can't remember. There's been a couple of days where a holiday has actually fallen on that Sunday. So then I haven't done those, but yeah, probably a little over a year and a half, or we're getting close to a year and a half.
You must have had quite a few guests. I know you have some regulars on there.
Yeah. I do have regulars, but yes, I've had many knife channels come through and stuff. And I'll say it here on your show as well, is that any knife channels or EDC channels that would like to join in on a Sunday and get in on the fun, just send me an email. My email's in the about section of my YouTube channel, and we'll get you on there. Or if you're on the Discord server, send me a DM, and we'll get you lined up.
I'll have to do that. It's just sorting out when I'm around, and I think having the right topic for me, because I think I only have about 30.
Well, the nice thing, and I think most of my guests will tell you, is that when I do have a guest on, I usually do offer them the choice of what topic would you like to talk about. And,
okay.
So because I'm like you, I don't want to catch people completely unprepared. I've only caught one guest completely unprepared, ever.
I mean, I'm happy to talk about anything, and
right.
I was on Paddy's show, and I think the problem was shutting me up, which, but yeah, it was good fun, and I think for me there, they were talking more about EDC,
right.
But I found with knives, it sort of took me back to my childhood when I always used to have knives,
right.
and things, going fishing, and I grew up in the countryside, and it is a little bit sad that there are knives that I had then that I couldn't carry now as everyday carry.
Right.
But that's just how it is in the UK, really.
Yeah.
So you've been going since 2021. So what inspired you to start your own YouTube channel? Because it's quite a step from watching to making, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, just like you and most other makers, we were fans of YouTube before, and so we would watch videos and stuff like that. And really, it was my wife, because I said, to her, I think, being a YouTuber must be kind of fun. I said it'd be fun to talk to these guys and get to know them and stuff. And she said, well, you could do just as well as the guys you're watching on TV. She goes, I don't see why you couldn't do it. And so I was thinking, I think I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I had a coworker that he gifted me for the Christmas in 2020, that charcuterie board that I use as my background. And when he gave me that on Christmas, I said, okay, I know what my background is going to be. I know that's going to be the focus of my channel.
Is this the one with the blue
yes.
sort of resin and
So it's a wood and acrylic charcuterie board. Yeah. And so I made that the background because nobody else had a background like that. I mean, there's a lot of guys with the cutting mats and
I have a cutting mat. Yeah.
Right. And guys with stickers and stuff all over them and everything. I said, I'm going to try this and see. I just wanted to kind of have a unique kind of a signature, to put on my videos. And that's, actually worked out really well.
Yeah. And
that was pretty much, it was my wife telling me that I could do it, and then just trying it, and I actually found an audience and found help from other YouTubers and stuff to get me some attention, and it's grown from there.
Yeah. It's an interesting sort of hobby, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Do you find it? Do you find it odd when you describe yourself as a YouTuber to maybe to people that you don't know so well?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because it's one of those things of I think my grandson put it best. I told this story on the live stream once, but he, I told him, because he watches YouTube and stuff, and I said, I have a YouTube channel. And he's like, oh, okay, and I think he gave me a sub, and then he comes back to me and he says to me, I think at this time I had like maybe 700 subs. And he says, well, I knew you had a YouTube channel, Grandpa, but I didn't know you were serious about it. And I said, what do you mean serious? He goes, I know a lot of kids that have YouTube channels that make like gaming channels and stuff like that. And he goes, and they'll have like maybe 7 videos and 3 subs. He goes, but you have, quite a bit of videos and you have quite a bit of subscribers and stuff. And so then I saw him recently, and he says, you do live streams? And I said, yeah, I've been doing live streams for a while. He goes, he has a friend that likes knives, and so he told him my grandpa has a YouTube channel, and then his friend told him, "Did you know your grandpa does live streams?" He was like, "I had no idea."
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So it's kind of funny because it's like most family, they're like, "Oh yeah, he's just the odd knife guy in the room, right?"
Yeah, yeah. I get called I mean, I'm not even a collector, and I get called the knife guy because I've had a few.
Right.
And I made the mistake, and I was meant to post. I have an MB EDC Facebook page that I don't do much on, and it's linked to Instagram. And I thought I posted onto there, but it ended up on my normal Facebook page. And then somebody was saying, "What's this obsession with knives? Why are you?" Because again, in the UK, it's seen as a I don't know. Maybe it seems a little bit odd in the US, but because of the anti-knife feeling in the UK,
Right.
then because of knife crime, then it's seen as being a bit odd to collect knives or to focus on knives. I've tried to explain that I don't think anybody gets stabbed on the street with either a Victorinox knife or or some of the more expensive knives that you see.
Right.
I'm sure
Exactly. Well, I think the biggest question I get if people find out that I have a YouTube channel, especially that has knives in the title, they want to know if I make knives. And
okay.
the popularity of shows like Forged in Fire and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm pretty far from being a hobbyist blacksmith.
Yeah, because there are a few. Kalen, I think, makes his or
Kalen is he's actually he apprenticed to a guy that was teaching him how to make slip joints and stuff, and he designed a slip joint of his own. Unfortunately, his mentor passed, and so he's looking for another one. And so I've been trying to help him because I know of some groups in Texas that do forge their own slip joints and stuff. So I'm hoping that he can kind of get under their wing, and that they can kind of help him to grow and fulfill that desire that he has to be a maker.
I mean, I've seen some of the customization of Victorinox knives, but it looks a little bit beyond my ability, at least for now. I mean, even things like making leather slips, the slips that Randy does are amazing. And I remember him showing his first one or two on the Discord group, and they, even those look good, but he's got so much better at it. I'm not very sort of good at crafts and things like that. I'm better
it's not my forte either.
I'm better at cutting things and setting fire to things, and that. So anyway.
Exactly.
So how did you decide on this topic for your channel? Was it just obvious because you were a collector, or?
Well, I would say that I wasn't a serious collector until I started the channel. I thought, I've always been interested in knives, since I was a boy. I mean, I used to spend hours going through encyclopedia sets and stuff, and I would love to see anything that was about knives or axes or swords or all the medieval armory stuff. That was just really something that just fired off my imagination, and I just loved that stuff. And I'd always bought knives. I'd always had knives, from an age that I could carry a knife, so I've always had knives. I've always, been interested in them, and I'd bought them through the years as I needed them or as I saw one that I wanted to try. But then I think I got serious about it, really when I started the YouTube channel, because I thought I had a lot of knives until I started a YouTube channel. Then I found I didn't have as many knives as I thought I did. And so then you go through this whole exploration phase and stuff, which is a lot of fun. And that is part of the journey itself. So I've definitely grown as a knife collector. My knowledge of knives has increased, beyond what I had when I started. And then, of course, that gets you all the other things of having to do all the videography and the pictures, and learning to do thumbnails and all this other stuff, like you said. It's just, we're constantly trying to learn and improve what we're doing. So.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I liked about this was having to learn new stuff, because I use sort of like PowerPoint and Excel at work,
Right.
and emails and things, but I hadn't done a lot, certainly not with video stuff, and
Right.
I still don't think I'm very good now. It's one of the things I want to try to improve, and I
Right.
see some people's how their filming looks, and it's just the next level compared to mine. But,
yeah, mine too. I can definitely say that that's true. That
Yeah.
there's definitely guys that are better at crafting videos than mine, but I hope that mine are at least serviceable and that people enjoy them.
Yeah, for sure, and I think it's good when you have some of the same people commenting, and
Yes, you kind of build an audience, and you get your people that I mean, I have some guys that they've commented on every single video I've made. I have, and your audience changes. I've had some guys that commented a long time, and then they kind of fall off, and new guys take their place, and they're commenting all the time. But then every once in a while, one of the guys that was from way a long time ago will add a new comment, and you're like, "Hey, where have you been? I remember you." So you know that hopefully they're still watching if they're not commenting. It's okay.
Yeah. So there was never a chance of you doing a different topic when you started?
No, I never had really thought about doing any other topics, but the knife stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Because I do some knives, but as I don't have so many, and to be honest, I don't get as many views on the knife videos as I do on some of the other videos that I do.
Right.
But I sort of got, I think it was joining the Discord group, I sort of got sidetracked into knives, and so I do like to get some new knives, and I like to get sort of different examples of knives. So I've ended up with a couple of case knives, but I always come back to Victorinox, I think, because that was what I grew up with. That was the one knife that I lost when the knife ban came in for flying, and I lost. I can't remember which it was. It was probably a Spartan, I think, or that sort of, typical Swiss Army knife. That sort of format. Maybe a Tinker, but it was taken from me, and I was quite upset about it. And then I didn't carry any knives for a long time. And then I started watching YouTube again, and I think I ended up buying the Pioneer X as like my first, and I got used to carrying a penknife. And then I realized what I've been missing for so long, that ability to have something that, whether it's cutting fruit or paper or, opening a parcel, that to have something on you. Because, why try and open a parcel with a pen? It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It doesn't work well.
Or the one that always gets me is watching somebody open a pair of scissors all the way and grab one of the blades and try to, use it like a knife, and it's just like, that you really shouldn't be grabbing. I mean, most scissors aren't really razor sharp, but still, if your hand slipped or something, you could definitely cut yourself with it. So it's like people trying to use the wrong tool for the job,
Yeah, I hate seeing people using knives as screwdrivers. That's the one thing, and especially if it's a table knife,
Oh yeah.
And I have to say that I think my wife has used a couple of ours, because there are a couple that are bent at the end, and that's why at least if you have a Swiss Army knife, you always have a pry bar built in,
right?
So you can always do that. So you don't need to sort of to damage stuff. But I don't mind using knives fairly hard, and I do at times, but I don't see the point of using the wrong tool to do something.
Right.
So it was always going to be knives. So that's interesting. And how do you come up with the ideas for your videos? Do you have like an ideas book, or is it?
No, it's actually all up in my head. So I with my job, I travel from site to site to repair stuff at a customer site. So I have time to think while I'm driving, and so I'll think of ideas, and then sometimes I'll even kind of pre-write a script, as it were, about things I want to say and stuff. And then, of course, by the time I get to actually making a video, all that's gone. So
It's interesting. Yeah, I've not written any word for word scripts.
No, I haven't either.
I tend to do a mind map because
Yeah.
like a
You kind of hit
spread.
your high points that I'll write that down. I'll write down the points and that I want to talk about, and then I think the only time I'll have something that might be more of a written script would be sometimes when I'm talking about a specific history of a knife company or a specific thing, because you want to get those facts, out there correctly. You don't want to, but then a lot of times it's just your take on a knife or whatever. And, those are just a lot of times top of the head things or whatever. But a lot of times my topic is just like whatever I am reviewing, whatever knife that is. It's a knife that's either caught my interest or caught my eye, or it's something that I wanted to try from seeing someone else's video or something like that. And I'll purchase that knife, and then I'll give you my take on it. What I think about it.
I was watching your video about the Temu knives.
Yes.
And I thought that was really interesting, because I've had a dip into Temu myself, and it's pretty much a lottery, because they don't always match the description. You don't always get everything that you're meant to, and I was quite lucky with the first purchase I had from them. I wasn't happy with 2 or 3 of the items, and they said, "Oh, that's okay. We'll just give you a credit, and you don't need to send it back." And but then that's just to make you buy more stuff, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you get bombarded with these ridiculous 100% vouchers. Or I've bought a couple of. I try and just buy things now that I think is quite difficult for this to be bad. So things like a magnesium rod to use for fire starting, and that was okay. I haven't bought anything complex or anything that's electrical that you plug into the mains. I'd be a bit concerned about that. I think if it's a USB thing, you can't go too.
I've gotten some of the things that are USB chargeable and stuff. They'll have a rechargeable battery in them and stuff. I did a video on flashlights that I'd gotten from them. I've bought a handful of flashlights from them. I bought several knives from them. Some are good, some are bad, some are complete, replicas of name brand things, and some of those are good, some of those are bad. It just kind of, you take your chances with a lot of those things, it seems.
I've been trying not to buy too many replicas. Because I think it's a bit unfair on the brands. I know there are quite a few people. I was watching a video today, actually, of somebody who bought a Benchmade replica because the Benchmades were just so expensive, and they didn't need that quality of knife. I bought a couple of things by mistake that I thought were the real things, but weren't, because they were advertised badly. But the other thing I've noticed is that a lot of stuff that you see on Temu, you see on Amazon now as well. And it's just been flooded with a lot of poor quality stuff that you have to wade through to get to something.
I was talking to my wife about that. Amazon's really changed since the pandemic. They really have. They're not the same company they were, and they're not as good as they used to be.
I don't think so. I used to trust the brands more now, but now you get 20 versions of something that are either identical or almost the same, with lots of different Chinese names, and you're not quite sure which one was the original. And it's quite difficult sort of finding the right brand unless it's Victorinox. But so I think it's interesting. But I really like the Temu one. I like was it a yellow canoe that you had?
Yes.
That looked quite good quality, that one.
Yeah, it is. It's a good quality knife. I think it's pretty good. It's not really a knockoff of anything because it has absolutely zero markings on it.
Yeah.
but the action is good on it. The knives were, you know, nice and sharp. I was actually looking at the at that ad to go back in it because I said it was an unknown steel, but then I looked and they're actually advertising it as a 440C, although it's not listed anywhere on the blades that it's a 440C. And it
Oh,
very
okay.
well, it maybe it's a 440C, maybe it's a 3CR, I don't know, but it works and it's good. I wouldn't say it's horrible. I have had some people say they want me to do long-term reviews of those knives, and so I carried the Canoe this week. That camp knife that I showed earlier, that's one that
Oh, okay.
was also in that purchase. That
Yeah.
one's marked Kissing Crane, but then it is, you know, it's been a good knife. I've been carrying that the last few days. You know, I was going to carry it again today if I go out to work. You know, so yeah, there's definitely some stuff that's serviceable on there, and I think with the slip joints, you don't have to worry as much about it being a fake or a replica as much because these are old patterns that have been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And, you know, unless they're actually branded with somebody's, you know, mark or something, then, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do know that the Kissing Crane stuff is made in China.
Yeah.
And so, you know.
And I guess let's face it, a lot of the knife companies copy each other anyway, particularly on the traditional stuff. They just call it something slightly different, don't they? And and I guess that's been going on for a long time. I mean, one of the things that I find frustrating in the UK is that if I look on Temu for pocket knives, there aren't many at all. Right. So because they just don't send them to the UK because it causes issues. And the same on Amazon. You know, we do get some, but nowhere near the range that you get in the US.
Right. Yeah,
because I often look on the US Amazon because I do affiliate links, and because most of my viewers are from the US, I tend to put the US affiliate links on as well.
Right.
And I find myself talking about things in dollars, and I find myself using the word flashlight instead of torch and things like that. I think a few of us are like that now, but I mean, it's only fair if that's where the viewers are. That's you know,
right.
It's not so different.
Right.
And of your videos, which is your favorite or the one that you're most proud of?
Well, in this one, I don't have a particular video, but I think what I'm proud of doing is the things I'm doing with the live streams, and then also the people I've talked to in the collector's corner, where I've recorded interviews with guys that don't have a YouTube channel, but they have a knife collection that they'd like to share. And so it actually, I felt quite honored because the one guy reached out to me and he said, you know, I've wanted to do this for a long time. He goes, but I really want to do an interview with you. I don't want to do it just, you know, willy-nilly. And so I felt quite honored that he wanted to choose me to be the vehicle that he, you know, showed his collection through, you know. So I think that that's pretty neat, and I like that. But the Sunday shows have gotten a lot of good feedback from the community and from everybody else. I mean, a lot of people really enjoy those, and I really like them because we do have fun with them. We do highlight smaller channels that are just getting started. We you know, have lots of guests, and you know, kind of just have fun, you know, with the
I really like it, and I like it that you have quite a few, and you have some regulars, and then some people that change in and out. So from a viewer's perspective, it's good. And I've learned so much about knives that help me when I do reviews. I mean, because when I started, I didn't know my jimping from a choil or from a wedges, and I think I've said on some other things, I still get really confused by a lot of the US patterns, you know, case ones. I'm starting to, you know, because things like trappers or stockman, it's used as a term, but then there are quite a few varieties of those. I'm just about understanding the blade shapes now, although sometimes it's hard to tell if it's a ram's foot or a sheep's foot or a lamb's foot or a Warncliffe. It's sort of like a scale, isn't it? That's
Yeah, they all are different shapes, and different makers, of course, put their spin on it, and
Yeah,
then they have the various sizes. So you can go down from the very small to the
yeah,
very large. So there's all kinds of different variation in there, and of course, that's what I love about the traditional knives is that there's so much variation in the cover material, the blade shapes, the histories of the companies. Uh, you can just go down so many different rabbit holes of what do you want to collect, what do you want to research, what do you want to see,
yeah,
and there's still tons of stuff out there that I've never even seen or heard of.
yeah.
So there's I don't think there's a week that goes by that I don't get a comment or something else where somebody says, "Well, what about this?" And I'm like, "I don't even know what that is." Yeah.
Yeah,
And then I have to go look it up,
I find myself on the live streams and on a few of the channels. I have to Google because they've mentioned a knife company that I haven't heard of, or a
Right.
pattern, or some other term, and I have to go and look it up. So I've learned quite a lot through that
Yeah.
as well.
I think that's kind of my uh, POV as a YouTube channel is that, like I said, I really started collecting knives once I really got going in YouTube.
Yeah,
So I kind of want to be, uh, as I'm going along learning, I want to pass that knowledge on to the audience,
yeah,
but I want them to kind of see themselves in me that, here I am kind of learning about collections and stuff, and then going on and evolving into the different things. I think that's kind of where I'm at as a channel.
yeah. So as you've been learning about things, then you've been sharing that as you go.
Right.
I find it better than trying to speak as an expert,
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah.
I know I'm not, and
Right.
it's blatantly obvious from the comments that I get that I there's a lot of stuff I don't know, but I'm just sort of sharing the journey, really. I think
Exactly. That's what it's about. You're sharing the journey, and you're hoping that other people are enjoying the journey as you go along.
yeah, I think so. And I think I've had some people who have ripped into me over something, and then I've said, well, okay, yeah, I understand that, I'm just learning. And then they said, oh, sorry, yeah, it's a good video. And I couldn't, I wouldn't do that,
Right.
you know, um, but I guess that that happens when you step up and put yourself forward onto here.
Yeah.
Um, Talking about that sort of thing, what are the main challenges that you face as a creator on YouTube?
I think the main challenge is just keeping everything fresh.
Yeah,
Because even my son said that to me recently. He's like, I'm really proud of you for having a YouTube channel. He goes, I don't know how in the world you can keep talking about knives. They're really not that different. It's just the same thing over and over again. And in a way, yeah, it's the same tool, but there, as we know, especially from collecting, there's
yeah,
always variations. There's always, all these different things. And you could say the same thing about anybody that collects coins or collects stamps or anything else that people tend to collect. There's always, it may be the same kind of a thing, but there's the variations, there's the little things that make it each item different
yeah,
to a collector versus someone that's just looking in from the outside, and they're just like, huh, that's kind of boring to me. I don't see what's fascinating about that. So I did tell him, well, I hope you'll be happy with your adopted family. So
so,
no,
so
he's an adult, so
yeah, so that's the main challenge, you think, just sort of keeping it fresh,
yeah,
keeping
keeping everything fresh and trying to stay. I think the hardest things for me really trying to come up with a topic for a weekly show is
yeah,
very challenging. It's at first it was kind of easy, but then you start saying, I need help with this, So it's one of those things that, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. Uh,
yeah,
we try to get stuff out there that we hope people are interested in, and we hope that they want to see. So those are kind of the challenges, just trying to keep things interesting and fresh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I can understand that. And And what do you like most about your YouTube experience?
I think the thing I like the most is the community.
Yeah.
And I was, welcomed into the community with kind of open arms, and I had lots of people, give me shout outs, and I found comradeship between the YouTube creators. This is not a toxic community in the knife channels. We all kind of welcome each other. We try to, get people to join in and have fun. The people that comment, the people that watch the videos, even if you don't comment, it's just, I appreciate everybody that comes along and helps out this experience. But that makes it a whole lot better. I think having a community, you're not doing this in a vacuum, because when you first start doing videos, as you make it, you put it out there, and you're like, gosh, I hope somebody notices. I hope somebody sees this. It's like when you only have 3 subs and they're all family members. It's like,
Yeah.
and you find your audience and you grow, and then it's just fantastic. Being a part of the community, I think, is a big draw for me.
Yeah.
Finding other members of my tribe, as it were.
Yeah, I think that was the thing that surprised me the most. I think I've said on some other because I was on Tom's from Knife Delights. Tom, he does a recorded show as well, and he invited me on there very, very early on. He was great when and I think that was the first time that anybody has seen my face, because I was always doing hand stuff,
Right.
just, I mean, not because I'm particularly shy, but just because it was easier to film. It's a bit more complicated to try and do both. And I think I was very surprised by how friendly the community was. The fact that people will send around some of their knives, with the traveling knives and things like that. And the Discord community helped a lot. So sometimes when I had some patches where I was less motivated, say, it was nice having that group to go to, and there's a creators corner there that you can talk to other people about. But yeah, the downside is it has made me buy more knives. So they should have a warning on that Discord group. Enter here. You will find people that love knives. Knife nuts, knife nerds, whatever you want to call them. But as a result of coming in here, you will buy more knives.
More than likely.
Because most of the talk is about and I remember the first thing when it was NKD for New Knife Day, and I had to ask somebody what it was, and then it was a while before I had one, because I don't buy them quite as often as some people do. But yeah, so but yeah, I think the community is amazing, and just seeing the same sort of people on here and getting to know them. And I mean, that's what's been really nice about me doing this sort of show, is being able to talk to people face to face. I get really frustrated if I watch a live show, and most of the lives, if I can't watch them live, I watch them on catch up. But I get really frustrated because I can't comment. What I could, it's too late. So it doesn't have any sort of impact on that. And what channels or creators do you really admire?
Oh, there's so many. I wrote down kind of a list here, but the ones that when I started, Big Red EDC, JB, he was one of the first channels that welcomed me in to the community. Of course, Knife Chats with Tobias, one of the OG knife guys, somebody that I've, watched for quite a long time. And, he does excellent videos. What can you say about that? Of course, Patty's Potato Peelers. Patty was a regular on my live show for a long time. He decided that he wanted to kind of take a step back, because it was getting kind of busy for him. And so he is always welcome to come back, but such a fun guy. Really love hanging out with him. And that's one of those, I guess, almost like a celebrity moment when, when Patty agreed to be on my live show, and then he had so much fun, he wanted to return. You're like, oh my gosh, Patty wants to hang out with me.
I was a little bit starstruck because
Yeah,
we had the shop. There aren't many knife shows in the UK,
right, right,
and I went. There was the Sharp show. I think it was late October, early November, and
right,
I had to take our lad to football, and so I didn't get there until about 2 o'clock. But I met Mikey and Paddy and Slippy, and Judd was there. Gadget Gus was there as well, and I've been watching Gadget Gus before I became, before I had my channel. Paddy, I started watching him after joining this.
right.
But so yeah, it was odd to talk to people that I've been watching on YouTube,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so I'm looking forward if hopefully we'll do a meetup again.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah,
and I think that's a nice thing. And I really liked it. I saw when Jesse and Big J met up with Tom and things like
right.
that. So I think, but I guess in the US you're probably quite spread out. I guess, are you?
Yeah, we are. We're spread out throughout the states, and
Yeah.
as you know, America's a rather big place.
Yes.
So I'm actually jealous that those guys can meet up. But even then, for Tom and Big J and Jesse, I guess Jesse and Big J actually live, really close to each other, and they can meet up daily if they wanted to. But for Tom to go in there, it's a few hours drive for him just to get over there. So and of course, I looked around. I think the nearest YouTuber that I actually know of that's in the knife community, there's two of them that are, I'm going to say close to me, but each one is probably about a good 2.5 hour drive from where I'm at, just to get there, one way.
Yeah,
So.
I think there might be a couple that are that sort of distance, probably.
Yeah.
I've moved a little bit further away from a couple of people, but I hope to do some meetups at some point. And yeah. Okay. Anybody else that you admire, or was that the
yeah, Knife Detector was one that really he was like the first YouTuber that I reached out to, him and Big Red.
Oh, okay.
And they both gave me shout outs and stuff. So Knife Detector has been a big influence on me also. He's a really fun channel. If you guys are not familiar with him, he hasn't been as he's not been as active lately because he's had to change jobs and stuff. But he does a lot of older knives. He really goes on the hunt for the antique knives and the older ones, and he's always finding good bargains and stuff. But great guy, great channel. Definitely hit him up if you haven't. He's another one of the OGs.
I'll check him out after
that's been there. He's been on my live stream one time. And then of course, Warthog probably has the best collection on YouTube, bar none. And the second guy who comes in second place with that is Jersey Knife Guy, Pete. And he's a great guy. Pete, he was my first video on an electrician's knife was a direct response to his electrician's knife video that he made. And it was funny because that was another thing of I'm going to make this video. I hope someday he watches it, because I mentioned him in the video. And then here it is now a few years later, and I correspond with him through email. He's been on my live stream. We talk in the comment sections and stuff. So it's one of those things that he knows who I am. And again, it's one of those things that, we've become kind of friends through the whole YouTube experience, so it's kind of fun to meet people that you admire and that you kind of like, wow, that guy seems, pretty cool. I'd like to talk to him sometime.
Yeah. And I'm hoping through this sort of show, this sort of MB's Confidential, that I can talk to a lot of guys like this, because I find it incredibly interesting, and to understand a little bit more about people's channels and things like that. So that's great. Did we go through all of your list? Is that
Yeah, I think the only things we didn't go through is best and worst EDC items, which I can do quickly.
Yeah. Hang on. Let's
Sure. Or do you want to do?
um, just a
Oh,
quick one. What
okay.
do you want to do with your channel for the future? Have you got any plans to do anything different, or just to keep doing the same? Or
Right now, I think probably good in the format that I'm in. I
yeah.
don't know. I didn't go into this with a plan, so why start now?
That sounds about right, I think.
Yeah.
I,
It was one
I,
of those things that throw it against the wall and see if it'll stick, and it did. So
yeah. No, I think that's fair enough, and I think sometimes when you try and have too much of a plan, things get in the way of the plan anyway, don't they? So
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is that with YouTube, I never thought of making it like a career or anything like that. I still think of this as a hobby,
yeah,
and I want to keep that kind of hobby enthusiasm, and kind of, because you have to remember the old adage of professionals do it for the money, but amateurs do it for the love of the sport.
yeah.
And I want to stay an amateur. Yeah.
Well, my experience is there's not much money in it, not
Oh yeah, that
not at the
too.
level I'm at, and I had thought maybe when I retire in a few years' time, it might be a side hustle, but I think you've got to have a lot more, a lot more.
Yeah, I think what it means to me as far as like looking at retirement, because I'm at that age that's coming up on the horizon,
Yeah,
is to think of things that you can do, because retirement, at least to me, is like if you just think you're going to sit on a beach with a drink with an umbrella in it for the next 15 years, it's going to get boring real quick.
yeah,
You have to have stuff to do and to fill your time, and this is something that I can do. It fills my time, and I think once I become retired, I can devote a lot more time to it. I'll probably at that point be able to go to a daily video, if
yeah.
not, because I mean, right now my filming schedule and everything else is dependent on what my day job is doing. So
It's tough, isn't it? And
yeah, it
I
is.
mean, I really like my day job, and
Right.
that pays the bills. I wouldn't want anything to get in the way, but I have enjoyed doing YouTube, and my idea was it would give me something to keep my brain active
Yeah,
and
exactly.
an interest and some variety as well. That I think that's why I picked EDC rather than one thing, because I can do camp stoves or knives
Right.
or a whole range of things, and all things that, I mean, most of the stuff that I've done videos on, I actually had I either bought or been gifted by sort of relatives. I'm still
Right.
hoping to have some free stuff sent to me, which was
Yeah.
the other reason I joined, as I've
Yeah.
said on Paddy's.
It's always fun when it happens.
Yeah, so I've had a couple of people interested, but there are a lot of scammers around as well. I think
Yes, there
I think
are.
we had a chat in the Discord group that there are some people that sound that they might be freelance marketers, but they sound dodgy compared to the company that they're offering. So
Right.
just sort of being careful about that. Yes. So what are your best and worst EDC purchases or knife purchases, if that's that sort of thing?
Yeah, I actually have examples of all three. So, best EDC thing that I've gotten is actually these little hangers. These, just go on with a ring. And for knives that have a bail like
Yeah.
this, or like on this Swiss Army Compact, uh, these have made all the difference in carrying knives like this, because I really like being able to hang them on my pocket, and makes them very much a much more enjoyable thing. Best knife that I've purchased recently, I'm going to give it to the Gerber Mansfield. It's a slip joint, has a Scandi grind, D2 steel, just an awesome blade. Really like it a lot. I did a review on this, so if you guys
Yeah.
want to get all the details, you
I,
can.
I saw the review. I can't remember what's the blade length on that. Is it more than 3 inches?
Let me check real quick. I do have a tape measure that's right here, so let me check it for you, because I kind of thought that might come up.
It looks, it might
It's
be a little bit big.
the Do they measure from the tip to the bolster, or from
Pretty
the just the
much
cutting edge?
from the end of the handle to the well, it's meant to be cutting edge. If you
Yeah,
look in
so
the
it has
law,
a 3-inch cutting edge, but if they measure to the bolster, it's 3 1/4.
okay, it's
So it's
probably borderline for that.
yeah. So it's
Because that looks
skirting.
really nice. I like
It's
that.
an excellent knife. Excellent pull on it. It's got a half stop. It's just a fantastic little EDC knife. And I'm so glad that more and more makers are doing the uh, slip joints. I think that more modern makers are turning towards slip joints, and I'm actually seeing modern knife channels saying that we really like having traditional knives over the modern knives. They might be going back in that direction.
Yeah.
But the worst thing I bought was this little slip or carrier thing. I thought it might be nice to have it on my belt like this, kind of a horizontal. It does have this little
Yeah.
opening, but I found that this is kind of flimsy. It doesn't really fit right. When you put a knife in there, it kind of tends to stick out away from your belt,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it's kind of not. I thought it would be better than it was. It looked good in the pictures. Thank goodness this was another Temu purchase, so it was only like $1 or $2, so it wasn't
I think
no
that's
no big loss.
I think that's a big benefit of Temu.
Right,
You can buy something and try it,
and
and
try
then
it. Right,
if you like the concept of it,
right.
and then it breaks or it wears out, you can get a better one. So I think I've sort of used that for a few things.
Yeah,
Like that. The hangers, I've tried those. I think that was another Temu purchase actually.
yeah,
But
yeah. That's where I got
can't
these
quite-
too.
I like the way it hangs in my pocket, but I don't like having something extra on there when I'm trying to use the Swiss Army knife or other thing. That's anything. I find it gets in the way a bit. I've used some of these zip pullers instead of having a lanyard, but
Right,
even they get in the way, and quite often I just take the ring off. It depends where it is.
right.
Victorinox have a bad habit of putting it in the wrong place for you
Yes.
to use something.
Well, it's kind of funny. You have an Alox with the key ring on it, and the Alox knives that I have don't have that at all. They're just so I
It
guess
does
they have two
vary.
buttons.
I have the Bantam, the Alox Bantam, and that doesn't. And I really like that. That's such a
Yeah,
slim knife. It's still got a couple of tools that you can use. And the can opener on it actually works really well. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't tend to like these much. Other than I use a slip like this, so
right.
it just makes it easier to get it out of the slip like that.
Yeah,
But I find this a bit bulky in my pocket, so I switch around a lot.
yeah.
And
I do too. Trying to find that perfect carry method, I guess.
yeah, it's I don't like having too much in my pockets, and we're getting close to the summer, so I'll probably be wearing shorts more. And I work from home, so I'll be wearing shorts
Right.
6 days a week probably. I just go into the office 1 day a week, so I
Yeah.
need to find a good carry option. And pouches never seem to. They always seem to get in the way, or they catch on something, or
Yes.
my seat belt and things like that. So
Yeah.
I need to work on that. I've tried a few, and so I need to keep.
Well,
To keep
when you find
that.
it, let me know on Discord, and we'll
Yeah.
we'll
Well,
see.
I'll probably have the latest, best one that I like, but then I find
Right.
I'll carry it for a lot of the videos I do. I think are more of a first look. They're not
Right.
always ones that I've carried for long.
Yeah.
I like the I'm not quite sure where I've got it. I quite like the Viperade one. Have you seen it? This one has a
Yes.
zip around it, because that goes in your, as long as you don't overfill it, which a lot of people do.
Right.
This is quite good because it goes in your pocket and it doesn't catch on things, but it
Right.
does fill your whole pocket. That's anything.
Yeah.
And then you can put credit cards in and use it as a wallet if you want to. So I think that's the other thing, because I tend to carry a small wallet as well, like a card wallet.
Yeah.
Right. I think we're at the last question. So this
so.
is the keep, carry, scrap. So let me just pull up the slideshow with this. So So as you know, I did share the questions ahead of time, but not this.
Right.
And you have to. I'll put 3 knives up, and you have to pick one to keep. But it's a proper keeper in a cabinet type keeper, not a user. Right. There's one to carry, which is designed for you to use all the time, and then there's one to scrap that you think you would give away. So let me show you what I've picked.
Ooh, wow.
So now, with a little bit of help from Randy, he said that you like trappers, yes?
That's true. Yes, I've been known to have a couple.
Yeah, that was, and I had sort of look. I looked through your videos, so I came on these. So that they are different prices, but I won't say what they were. So the first one is a case. Well, actually, they're all case.
Yes.
It's a vintage bone mini trapper with Damascus blades. The next one is a Tony Bowes trapper with smooth ebony, and then the third one is a motor company special for Ford with the blue color wash bone. So talk me through, which one do you want to keep? Which one will you carry as an everyday one? And then which one? And that might be difficult because it depends. And which one have you got to discard?
Okay. Well, yeah, it is hard because which one to keep is, I think, the most difficult choice for me right now, because it's between the mini trapper and the Tony Bowes HT trapper. I think I would keep the Tony Bowes HT trapper because it is a Tony Bowes model, and it's just a unique knife, and I don't think they make very many of those. To carry one, I'm going to carry the Case Mini Trapper. I love mini trappers. They're a lot of fun. I don't have one in vintage bone or with the Damascus blades, but between these three, I would go ahead and carry the Mini Trapper, and then the Ford one. Unfortunately, that one is going to be the scrap one because it's just I mean, it's not that it's a bad knife or whatever, but I mean, it is I guess a more common knife. So I'll keep the more exclusive one. I'll carry the other one because it is very unique, and I think that would be a fun knife to carry. But yeah, then the Ford. Nothing against Fords. My work truck is a Ford. But I do prefer GM products. But
I think you've got a eye because you've picked in range of costs. You've discarded the cheaper one,
right?
You've kept the more expensive one, and I can't remember how much it was, but it was it was over twice the cost of the vintage bone one, maybe 3 times. It was I did a search on Amazon, and I think this is available on Amazon. I'll put links to all 3 in the description.
Nice.
Because I do affiliate links, but I don't expect anybody to buy them because they were quite expensive. So the Tony Bowes one was the one that came out as more expensive. It's got that nice look about it. It's got it's very stylish, isn't it?
It is.
I'm not always a big fan of Damascus blades, but I think it suits that knife. And it was interesting because Steel City Knives bought one from Slippy. I think it was a. I'm trying to think if that was an Arthur Wright custom or anyway. It was a custom knife, but it has a nice mango wood handle, and that had Damascus blades.
Yeah,
but that combination looked good. Whereas I think sometimes it can just look a bit gaudy, but it was really good. So anyway, excellent choice. So I think because otherwise the Ford one looks quite nice as well, I think.
Yeah, and there's, like I said, there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's fine. It's just that of those three knives, it's probably the most common and the least expensive.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. So I think I can safely say that you know your trappers, RJ. So we've come to the end of our chat. So if there's anybody you want to give a shout out to, or if you want to give a plug either for your channel or your live, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, we'll give a shout out for the live show. I think if you guys haven't seen it, you will enjoy it. We do have a guest panel, and always a lot of fun. Please join the chat if you're there. It's more fun if you interact and can read the chat questions. So I would say that, and that's 10:30 a.m. Pacific time is when that show starts. So you'll have to adjust your schedule accordingly. I don't know what time that is in the UK.
6:30 p.m. UK time at the moment.
Okay.
So
yeah, so it's actually a good time if you're looking for some knife chat to fill your weekend. And then of course I release videos during the week, generally a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but with the occasional Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, or sometimes just a Monday, depending on how crazy my schedule is. But there's that. And of course, all the guys in the Discord channel, hey, how you guys doing? Because there's just too many to list.
Yeah, well, I hope they're going to watch this, and that
I hope so too.
I'm the main audience so far, and I'll put a link to your channel in the description, so that I find it hard to believe that there's anybody subscribed to me that's going to watch this that isn't already subscribed to you, but let's see what happens. And
it's okay. Tell your friends.
yeah, for sure, and that's a really nice thing about doing these, and I hope to do a lot more. I've got a list of about 3 or 4 people to come on it yet. So so I think Singing Toad, Rasputin's Castle.
Oh, nice.
And Kalen, of course, from Gunslinging Cap.
I'm sure
Paddy said he'll come on, but I'm not sure if that was just if I do a live version. I'd love to do a live version of this, but scheduling is a problem. Having a set time every week, I think I struggle. And I think unless you can do that, it's not really fair on people because they're never quite sure when you're going to have the show. So I'm quite enjoying the recording as well. It's a little bit less pressure, I think. And not that we've had any major bloopers yet, but maybe sometime there could be. So that's great. So if you can hang on after I close it down, and so thanks to everybody for watching. Please check out some of the other ones in the series where I had Jesse McJames and Randy from Randy's WSG. So it's been fantastic having RJ's Knife on here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks everyone.
Thanks everybody. We'll see you.
Thanks.